guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Cooking with Evie. My name's Yvette, for those of you that are new here. And if you feel like it's been a while, it's because it has. Now, I have mentioned in my most recent video that I took a brief hiatus because of the fact that I was going through a lot of transitions, and that has definitely been true. I've had to get used to a new schedule, and that has kind of taken a little bit of precedence over making videos, and just kind of sometimes when you make adjustments in your life, you have to take care of your mental health. So I'm not quite ready to talk about, all the different things that have happened. However, hopefully very soon I'll be able to talk about it more, kind of gather my thoughts and express what's been happening, and just nothing bad. It's just a lot of different changes. So I hope you guys will forgive me, but we're gonna get back to what we love here, which is cooking, food, hauls, all that good stuff. So I figured today I would show you guys what I'm making for dinner. It's gonna be a slow cooker lasagna. Now, I can't take all the credit. I did get this recipe, idea, inspiration from a channel here on YouTube called Kristen Step, if I'm not mistaken. She posts a lot of what's for dinner videos, and honestly, I love watching them because she has given me so many great ideas. So if you haven't found her by some odd reason, go ahead and check her out, because honestly, if you need some dinner inspo, that's your girl. I know I've made lasagna a couple of times on my channel, and the reason why is because we just like it. This lasagna is very different in the sense that the textures are different, but the flavor is really good, and it's very little effort. Honestly, it's the least effort, in my opinion, to make lasagna. You just get everything ready in 20 minutes, put it in the slow cooker, and then you're ready to go. It cooks by itself, and it's phenomenal. So you guys want to see how it is that I make that lasagna, make sure to keep watching and hit that like button if you want to see more. As I always do, I like to start off by telling you what you guys will need for this recipe. Obviously, you're going to want a slow cooker for this recipe. Any brand will do. As long as it's a slow cooker, then you should be golden. I have here the Great Value Fiesta Blend Cheese. It's basically Monterey Jack, cheddar, queso, quesadilla, and asadero cheese. Basically 4 different types of cheeses. You can use mozzarella or whatever type of cheese you like, but honestly, the Fiesta Blend is what I like. I also like mozzarella, but that's what I have, so here we are. I also have some homemade marinara sauce. I made this out of tomatoes, which I might have to make more sauce because I am honestly having a lot of tomatoes and I don't know what to do with it, so that might be an idea. You can also use store-bought sauce. I'm probably gonna have to do that because this may not be enough for the recipe, but figured I'd use it up. So you're gonna want ground turkey. I have a pound here. You can put 1, 2, 3 pounds, however much meat you like. I like my lasagna to have some meat, but not too much, so 1 pound is good enough for me. And lastly, we're gonna try to be a little healthy here. We're using whole grain noodles for the lasagna. You don't even have to cook these for the recipe, which is what I love most. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how it is I prep my meat, and then we'll get on to the footage of how it is that I assemble it in my slow cooker. So this next part is a voiceover because I was doing laundry at that time. So anywho, I'm just showing you that I open up this ground turkey using a scissor, and then I'm testing the pan, just holding my hand above it to see if it's hot enough, but it wasn't, so I decided to go ahead and show the ingredients. This right here is my homemade sofrito. If you want to know how to make it, I have a video on my channel. You can search for it, and it is super easy peasy, I promise. Anyway, I'm using the McCormick onion salt here, as well as a Dollar Tree garlic salt that I got. They work just fine. And then, of course, I am going in with Tony Chachere's More Spice Creole Seasoning, and Sazon, of course, cannot go without. And then my handy dandy little meat chopper from the Dollar Tree. This is very similar to the Pampered Chef. I think it's called Meat and Chop. I'm not exactly sure. However, it was only $1, so I'm really happy about that. So I went ahead and tested the heat again, and it was perfectly hot this time, so I ended up throwing in my ground turkey, making sure to try to not get any blood on there. I just threw that away, and basically what you do is you just want to get this cooking. I had my stove probably at a high or medium high heat. I would recommend that just because it kind of cooks faster. And then as you can see, this was fully thawed, so it was very easy to crush up with this meat chopper here. And I'm just chopping my life away, as you see. Anywho, like I said, I've shared my lasagna recipe before, but this is just a nice, easy, effortless way. This is probably the most labor-intensive part of the whole process. So I'm just speeding it up here because basically you can kind of see more or less what I'm doing. You just want to make sure that you're, pretty consistently stirring it up and chopping it up to make sure you have pretty small and even pieces and that every part of it is getting cooked. And as you can see, it's almost fully brown. So at this point, I decide to add my sofrito. I added 2 tablespoons, 2 nice large tablespoons of sofrito, which honestly adds such an amazing flavor. Anytime I make ground meat, I make sure to add my sofrito. Now it does add a little bit of extra liquid into your mix, but that is perfectly fine because sometimes the meat can get a little dry. So this kind of helps combat that, but don't worry about that green color. It'll go away once we add this sazon here. So I added just half a packet of sazon. That was plenty. And then you just kind of stir it up and work it through. And as you'll see here, it starts to kind of turn from that green color into more of a brownish, more natural color. I know that to some people, seeing orange meat is weird, but that's how I grew up with it. So it's perfectly normal to me. Anyway, I'm throwing in some of that garlic salt that I got from the Dollar Tree, and then a little bit of this McCormick onion salt. Then I went in with a little bit of the Tony Chachere's, the little bit of that seasoning, because I think it just adds a nice little spice to it. As you can see here, it is a pretty high heat because a lot of smoke is starting to come from it. But no worries, as long as you keep an eye on it, it should be perfectly fine. But anywho, you just keep that cooking up. And if you ever want to taste it to see if it has enough salt, as you see me do there, you just grab a spoon, take a little bit of the liquid, try it, and see if it's salty enough. So now we are moving on into the actual assembly of the lasagna. I first start out by putting the tomato sauce on the bottom. That way none of the noodles will stick to the slow cooker pot. In retrospect, you'll see at the end of the video that I might have put a little bit too much sauce because it ended up kind of burning on the edges. However, it worked out. But as you can see me doing here, I'm just kind of breaking the noodles to make it fit into the crock pot. This is probably one of the more challenging pieces of components to this recipe, is kind of just figuring out how to fit the noodles into the crock pot because most of them are oval shaped. However, you just kind of play with it, break the noodles into pieces and stick them in there as best as you can. As you can see here, it doesn't have to be pretty. Sorry that I'm yawning, but it doesn't have to be pretty, just has to kind of cover the layer for the most part. Then you layer that on with some sauce as you saw there, and then you add on the ground beef. And as I said in the beginning, I'm pretty sure I don't like a lot of ground beef in my lasagna, so I like to put kind of like a thin layer on each level of the lasagna. Then you'll see me moving on to spreading my cheese, and I kept this in regular time because I wanted you to just see that glorious goodness of the cheese going on into the slow cooker. Now you'll see me just add a little bit more sauce here just to kind of have a little bit of better adhesion, I guess you could say, from one layer to the next. And again, just adding in the lasagna. Again, it's a trial and error process. Honestly, you kind of just play around with it and see what works best. So again, you can see me there. Like I said, this is kind of the most challenging, but honestly, it's not about it looking the most beautiful. This recipe is just about ease and convenience. So honestly, this literally takes so very little time. So I don't know, let me know in the comments down below, what kind of things do you guys like to make in your slow cooker? I think Fridays are going to be the day for me that I make recipes in the slow cooker just because I have a little bit more time to prep in the afternoons, but also because on Fridays is the day that I do my errands. So I like to have a meal ready for the afternoon and sometimes for Saturday during lunch. But I honestly sometimes don't have that much inspiration. So let me know, what do you guys like to make in your slow cooker? And what do you recommend? Leave me a suggestion down in the comments below. But anyways, I'm getting into the last layers of the lasagna.
I ended up finishing my homemade hot sauce, so I used this Vine Ripe low sodium sauce that I got from somebody who was just giving away some canned items, so I went ahead and figured I would use it up in this recipe. You can definitely tell the difference in between this sauce and my sauce. Mine was definitely a lot more liquidy. This one's a little bit more thick, but it actually tasted really good, and the fact that it was low sodium was even better because, you know, there's quite a bit of salt in this recipe as it is, so I very much enjoyed that aspect of it. So this is pretty much the last layer of the lasagna. You'll see my very little meat on it, but it ended up working out just fine, and then I coated it with that last layer of cheese and popped the lid on, left it to go for about 4 hours, and it was perfect.
The last step is to go ahead and make sure to power this to high for 4 hours. Put a lid on it, and that's all. So I'm gonna check back in with you when I'm back home. I have some errands to do, gotta go to a couple stores, get some gifts, you know, all that fun stuff. Put some laundry away, do a little bit of everything, and get some lunch. So I'll come back to you guys when I'm back home. Didn't have time to make the rest of my dinner, but that is fine. I didn't make the cornbread, but this is what the lasagna looks like. Now it looks a little burnt on the top, but that's fine. It was just a lot of sauce, but I'm gonna go ahead, cut out some pieces, and then alright guys, so that wraps up the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that slow cooker lasagna. I know I sure will. Let me know if you want to see other slow cooker recipes, what kind of content you want to see in the next coming weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks. See you guys. Bye.